this, but we're still missing one key component. But I'm hoping at some point, guys, I might have to duck out and try and re-invite her. That's Brit girl. She's a bit predisposed at the moment. But
oh yeah, where is she?
Yeah. I'll just send her a link to the other one of the other ways of contacting us. It's not a bother, mate.
Oh, brilliant, mate. I can't honestly. You're helping me no end. Right, so this is Red Pill Phil live stream, guys. Thank you very much for jumping on. It's going to be a hell of a stream. It sounds exciting already with this amount of people, and there was more that wanted to join as well. I didn't know how we were going to cope with any more, but we'll see how we go with tonight as it's going on. Who've we got? We've got the Reverend Simon Cowlings.
Hello.
We've got Nanny Robinson.
Hi.
And we've got the lovely Jonaya as well.
Hello.
So we're going to talk about a multitude of topics, I guess. You know, the march coming up. Obviously, what's been going on, the latest events with Tommy Robinson and all the effects of that. And so the first thing I'm going to ask, I'm going to put out there to everyone, the first question. Do you think this movement is in danger of eating itself?
Seriously? Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, go on. Sorry.
Go on.
We need to get used to coordinating. It's quite hard.
Yeah, I just think all the hard work that's being done at the moment, and people are just going to go get hysterical, and you've got people that want to go out in the streets and batter the living daylights out of police and stuff like that. That video that I put out telling people to calm down, I got some serious aggressive comments. You got people that are living in some other country going, "Oh, you need to be attacking the police." Hang on a minute. Mm-hmm. You're telling me from another country what I've got to be doing in this country. Yeah, good luck with that one, mate. But the only way you're going to do anything at the moment is through democratic means and through doing it all legally. The moment you start playing up illegally and the moment you start fighting amongst ourselves as such or whatever, or what we should be doing, then it's over. You might as well just do something else.
The people that kicked...
Oh, sorry. Go on, it's okay.
The people that kicked off at the Free Tommy demo did us no favours at all. You know,
they're not supporters. They're not real supporters. They weren't there for the fight.
You have to ask the question, what were they doing there? Because people that really understand what's happening and what's needed wouldn't behave that way. Now, what kicked off after the event, I was there with my son and grandson, and we were right on the edge of it. We ended up going into a restaurant because, you know, I didn't want to get my grandson involved in it. And my son was trying to talk to some of the people there, and they were just ready to kick off. You know, they can't push us around, they can't do this, they can't do that. And he was trying to say, no, you know, stop it, this isn't what we need. They didn't want to listen, they didn't want to hear. They were there, you know, they said, we've had enough of doing it peacefully. Well, we haven't. We've only just started doing it peacefully, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, if they hadn't gone there drunk, I might have believed them more. But they were drunk before we even started. Yeah. And I saw people try and stop them, and they wanted to attack them. These are people on their own side.
So embarrassing.
Yeah. Oh, it's really good. Some fat bloke giving a Nazi symbol, right? There was one. Yeah. Or some other mush, and they're all singing Tommy, 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 but they're singing it drunk, so they're not even in tune. Yeah. Well done, lads. And then the next day at the Al Quds, the same people showed up, and as if they're remotely interested in what's happening over in over there. But when you tried to stop them, they wanted to go for based Welshmen, and you're like, you people are just here for the scrap. And I'm not surprised if we haven't got people that are in amongst it all paid to stir this up, because the first thing we want to do is discredit everything we're doing. In the miners' strike, they sent in police undercover to stir it up. Mm-hmm. You can look at one of the videos. It was a guy, he was on his own, he was out in the middle of there, he wasn't with anybody, and he was trying to stir it up. And what you'll do is you'll see the police go in, they'll seize him. Out you go, lad, you've done your job, on you go, and then, you know,
and everybody else kicks off. Yeah.
Why were all why were the mainstream media there just at the right time?
Yeah.
They hadn't covered anything else, but they were there just at the right time.
There was a notice that went out prior to the march saying Antifa will be wearing red caps, red shoes, backpacks. I don't know if any of you saw that.
But I did see it, but that was something that they put out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the truth of it or where it came from, but there was somebody that was dressed that way that was appearing in quite a few of the little incidents that were kicking off.
Yeah, I know him. I went up with him.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he was trying to get footage. That was based Welshman. He's slightly insane.
Oh, okay.
But he was trying to get the footage of it all, and he's running around, and he actually looked like a headless chicken, bless his heart. But he did get some interesting foot. But he had the "Make Britain Great Again" cap.
Okay.
What's Jonaya? What's your thoughts, Jonaya? Sorry.
Oh, well, I actually think that this whole idea about using revolutionary force and aggression is stupid anyway, because it might have worked hundreds of years ago, or not even 100 actually, because there was like the Bolshevik Revolution. I'm failing on my history, but yeah, there was a bit more even power between the government and the people then, because weaponry wasn't as advanced. Obviously, they're not going to use a nuke now, but the difference is we can get access maybe to a kitchen knife, an illegal handgun. They have nuclear bombs and tanks, so even if you wanted to advocate for a violent uprising, if you were intelligent, you wouldn't, because it wouldn't happen. They'll be dead in seconds. The only way you can actually do it is through the democratic process. And I've always said the very first thing we need to do is change the voting system. It's all good joining UKIP and all these parties, but the system's designed so that the two main parties stay in power, and these smaller parties just give the illusion of democracy. There never will be true democracy until we abolish first past the post and get a PR system or something similar.
Yeah, I agree. Personally, on my level, I feel that the start of this year was so positive. Marches, people were coming out with the right intent, very little drinking going on. Various events were just going on. I think what's happened now, since maybe not the Day for Freedom, but, you know, particularly that was a catalyst as well, but particularly now Tommy being incarcerated, the mood has changed. People's attitudes are changing now. They're almost, if not ready for it, they're preparing for it. I've had phone calls that have intimated that they're going to hold meetings. Now, I'll tell you a little story. You know, remember this story that come out about the 71% Muslims? And
I knew that was bollocks when I first heard it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I took literally, I wasn't involved in YouTube for a couple of days. I was just getting on with my business, work, this, that, and the other. I got a random call from Big Baz. You know who I'm talking about, Jonaya.
Oh, I love Baz.
You know, and you've met him as well. I think Carol comes with me as my wingman on various events, and the guy sets up a lot of interviews, and we do that together. So he's a great guy. He calls me up, and he goes, "Have you heard the news?" I said, "What news?" He said, "Nanny Robinson's going to get moved to a prison in Leicester. Category this prison, it's got 71% Muslim." And the first thing I thought for disinformation, that is there just to wind people up. You know, people didn't actually think that is there such a prison with 71% Muslims? No, they just reacted to it. Now, apparently the social media went absolutely crazy, but an extension to that, Barry said to me, is guys we know, Phil, that are now arranging a meeting. And I initially said to him, "A meeting, what for?" You know? And what he's alluding to is that now they're going to plan B, as in, sod all this being nice kind of attitude now. And this, the irony is, a guy made a video, because an hour later I thought, right, I better look into what's gone on. A guy made a video, a YouTuber we all know, okay? He'd made a video relaying all this information out. Now, I don't know whether he fact-checked it or whatever, whether he was just going off Facebook comments. The video got deleted by YouTube under hate speech violation, right? So he got a community strike, and the following day it emerged, it was absolutely 110% BS. None of it was accurate at all. Now, not only did he get a community strike, but then you think to yourself, well, imagine the emotional turmoil that has caused being out in circulation. There was people 3-4 days later, when I'm doing totally different videos, still thinking that he's going to a prison that's 71% populated, even though it had already been circulated that was a load of BS.
The thing that I found out, and I thought it was quite funny, the Cambridge News printed an article, and what they were trying to do was prove that he wasn't being sent anywhere dangerous. But they really shot themselves in the foot, if their figures are to be believed. Hull Prison had 7.4% Muslim. That was where he was originally sent. The newspaper said that he'd been moved to Leicester, which they said had a smaller percentage, but it doesn't. It actually has 14.3% Muslim. And in order to prove their case that he was going somewhere safe, they said, we've researched all the prisons in the Midlands and come up with the fact that the only one that's got a high percentage is only at 30.4%. So in order to try and disprove that he was going somewhere dangerous, because they thought he was going to Leicester, they'd actually put in there the statistic that they'd found, that it was 30.4% only, which is where he was sent. And that is one of the higher percentage ratios of any of the prisons in the UK. So that the newspaper article really did shoot themselves in the foot. The 70-odd% was way off the scale, and anybody that has looked into anything would realise it. But as you say, it was inflammatory. It got everybody riled up. But he has, in fact, been sent to a prison that has got a higher percentage than, if those figures are to be believed. Now, I've not researched separately. I took those from this Cambridge newspaper. And as I say, they were trying to disprove that he'd been sent anywhere dangerous. And they actually proved that he had.
This is, what is it, Raheem or Rasim, or I can't remember his name.
Raheem.
He said the same, but you've got to look at the national figures. What is it? Muslim population makes up a UK. Is that 6% or is it
5%? I think
5%, right? Yeah. So half that, right, and that's the males, okay, and then probably a quarter. Take a quarter off that again, because they're all the rest of them must be too young, right?
Or too old,
and that or too old, and that's going to make 33% of the population in one prison up. That's a massive indictment on the Muslim community, if that was true, which I don't think those figures are particularly accurate. But even so, but they're saying a lot of stuff about, Tommy's getting thin in there. Well, if you go to prison, you've got anxiety, you don't want to eat the food, it's shit. I know I lost 2 stone when I was in there, and I didn't have a 2 stone to lose. The food was crap. And obviously the natural anxiety, and you're banged up and all the rest of it, you're not really going to want to eat. But
it's not nice food, I'm imagining. It's not going to be, even McDonald's would improve, and McDonald's isn't the best quality, but
they made it themselves. Oh, love. I thought it wasn't butter, it's a chunk of lard like this. Put this on your toast. It's like, jog on. We had a boiled egg in the morning, and that was the excitement, all right? Because once I got my canteen after 2 weeks, I got salad cream. So we'd save the bread and make an egg sandwich, and that was the best meal I had all day. Right, but other than that, it was just like 1 lump or 2 of whatever it is, and it was hard to tell. Really was. So it was a really good weight loss plan. That's all I can say.
Let me ask another question then, guys.
Weight loss plan. I just got that then.
Did this story originally come from Kaelin speaking on the Alex Jones show? Because that's how it looks to me. That's what so many people are saying.
I think he came out with the 70-odd% figure. Yes.
Yeah, he said he spoke to Tommy, and Tommy said it looks 70 to 71%. I saw a tweet the other day, which he'd replied to somebody, and that's what he said. So I think, I'm not saying anybody was doing it maliciously or to purposely misguide people. I think it was just something was said, and everybody got all hysterical. Sorry. And then it just got passed around, and it just ended up being a bit of a nightmare. It's just a mistake, I think, but a bit of a damning one to make, or a dangerous one, you could say.
To correct it, Jonaya. If it's a mistake, you jump on it straight away. How long was that allowed to just float out there and just lift it?
I think it's still out there, isn't it? I think it's still out there. It created such hysteria. My main concern, obviously, any prison that he goes in, he's going to be at risk. And we all know that because of what happened last time. And my campaign, if you want to call it such, was to encourage people to write to their MPs, to write to the Home Office, to write to various people, and just draw attention to the fact that the people are watching, and nothing can happen to him. Basically, to just reiterate the fact that the world is watching, and
he's on solitary.
He's in solitary, but he's in solitary for his own protection. So that in itself, 23
hours a day bang up, right? Which is good in itself. It's crap. You haven't got anything to do with your time except exercise, and I believe he's got access to email, that's keeping him busy, because I should imagine he's got thousands and thousands. He's got one more now because I worked out how to do it. But but 23-hour day bang up's good, because that's 1 hour a day, apart from going to get your food. And I would imagine if he's down the block, I hate to say it, that where we were, you had normal population, then you had the drugs population. They shoved me in with that. I've never done drugs, right? Anyway, in there, and what you had is they had the nonces down one side, and you had the block as such down the other. That's where all the naughty boys went, or you went into segregation. And those two would usually be let out at the same time down there together. But yeah, so he will be getting fed away from the major population. He won't actually be coming in any contact. His exercise will be at different times.
Yeah.
It's crap. He shouldn't be in there. So I'm not.
When you think about the crime that he's been committed for, his conditions of incarceration are completely disproportionate to the crime that he's committed.
How long?
But it is for his own safety.
To be fair, you get time added on if you repeat. Obviously, if you commit a new offence, and also if you repeat the same offence, they're much harsher because they're like, oh well, you didn't learn your lesson the first time, so we're going to make you learn your lesson by doing a heavier sentence.
The other argument that people come out with was he knew what he was doing when he was there. And if anything, you've got to say he's guilty of being completely naive on the fact that he was there. But they allowed him to carry on for an hour. He did ask the police several times, am I okay to be here? They could have stopped him any time they wanted to, but they let him walk into the trap.
I totally agree, Nanny. This is what I mean. It's like this has almost been orchestrated.
Yeah. They could have stopped him at the beginning and said, you know, you're not allowed to be. Why let him go on for an hour?
Because they wanted to do it. There's somebody on him 24/7 looking for him to put a foot out. Because you look at Jeremy Corbyn does a do the other day. 2,000 people rock up after the tickets are given away for free. Tommy Robinson has 25,000 people rock up in London and all over the world. So he's a massive problem to the system.
He is. He's a huge problem.
They need him out of the way, but not dead. And everybody's going, oh, he's going to get killed. If he got killed, it would be the worst thing for the system. They need to. They need to make it time. Yeah, and they need to make his experience as miserable as possible. They also need to make sure that when he comes out, he's under a load of restrictions, and they're going to try and break the man. But what they haven't worked out is if you haven't broken him already, you ain't likely to.
No.
But you know, Simon, I totally agree with everything you're saying. However, what else they're up to is try to break the people on the outside too.
If this can happen to him, what can happen to you?
They would not want. They would want nothing more than by the time Tommy Robinson gets out, for this whole movement to be in a state where they can control it. So if they demonize us enough to be able to sanction us, I mean, don't get me wrong, with some of the actions that you're seeing now, some of the slight ugly scenes you're seeing, it won't be long before they won't let you march.
Yeah.
If these the nutters, I'll put it, get their way, there'll be blood. There will be a lot of blood. People will get killed doing this. But as you say, the system, pardon me, will put a stop to it before that, which is why we've got to distance ourselves as much from those idiots who are doing that, because they're just trying to ruin everything that we're doing. But more marches, they will happen, and people will get more and more frustrated. And once people actually see what's happening with their own eyes, which more and more are, it's one of those things. Once you see it, that's it. You can't unsee it. And this sort of stuff, once you start off down this road and you've put your face out there like we have, that's it. We're nailed anyway. People have known who we are, right?
Yeah.
And you might as well just go full tilt at it, all by the law. And that's the way I see it.
We've got to stay within the law. We've got to stay within what is reasonable. It's very difficult though when you've got a lot of testosterone flying around and a lot of alcohol, and the police start getting heavy-handed. You're not going to get the reactions that we want, and that most people at that demonstration were people like myself, ordinary people. But the element that is infiltrating is wrong. I mean, I was having a conversation with somebody, and they were saying, this is the sort of people that he attracts. Well, no, it's not. They're not there to support Tommy Robinson. They're there for their own agendas, aren't they? I don't think it is what he attracts, because they were trying to say, he was this far-right fascist and everything, the usual names that come out. And yeah, he started off life as a hothead, but he's tried desperately hard to change his image and do it the right way. But he is still attracting that element that think,
Yeah, well,
violence is the way.
They will get bored of him, but the system won't get bored of it because it's all they've got. I mean, if you can remember, they're still banging on about Project Fair with Brexit and Donald Trump, this, that, and the other, a Russian collusion. It's so boring you could go to sleep listening to it. But they're doing the same with him. Now we've all I say we've all got a past. Some of us have got a past, but it doesn't mean that was the person that you are now that you were then.
No.
But yeah. I see the amount of people he's interviewed, the suits and all the rest of it he puts on, the type of friends that he's got personally, right? He ain't no racist, and he's not an Islamophobe. He's just got a genuine concern about his kid's future, like the rest of us.
Like the rest of us, yeah. Yeah,
So.
absolutely. Yeah.
The reason why I keep going back to this is because everyone gets annoyed over certain stats and then starts manifesting out. Like I say, now people are turning on each other. You started off by saying it, Simon, with the negative comments you get. You know,
you got a few in your chat here by the look of it. You got a couple of bell ends in there,
right?
I've been reading the chat. If you can see me keep looking down, I'm looking at the chat on my tablet. But I was reading the comments on Phil's video earlier today, and people are saying things like, "Oh, Phil, you need to mention Tommy. You owe him. You have subscribers because of him." And I'm thinking, a lot of these people only mention Tommy because they want subs, so at least you know he's not after just fame. Also, not being funny, but Phil doesn't actually owe Tommy anything. This channel would still be successful without Tommy because he doesn't ride on the back of it. He's in a few of his videos, so what? Yeah, I've got like 2 videos with Tommy. Now people hear that and think, oh my god, she hates Tommy, better start attacking her, better kill her. No, it's just a fact that not everybody who does YouTube or is involved in this movement in any way, they're not all successful because of Tommy. It's just a fact. He's one person. It's bigger than one person, and if it isn't, then the movement's already dead and a failure.
Well, that's the align yourself up to one person. We've all got our own direction in what we do. You know, I'm not a jukebox for anyone. Seriously.
The thing is, though, he has got a big following, and that is what's needed. That is what's lacking in this whole movement. This cohesion of numbers isn't happening anywhere, and he's the guy that sort of managed to get that across, and people will follow him. And he does need support, you know, not blindly, but he does need support and the numbers. What I would like to see from this is that he comes out and decides to take a political turn.
He won't be able to. He's been in prison, and that sort of stops you getting a position as an MP or something. So I was told, which is.
He's not MP. He's not PM material. You know, we all know that, but the movement needs a figurehead, and if it's Tommy Robinson, then he will bring the numbers.
Well, here's a question for you guys: who should be leading it now to cool all this down, to get everything back to where it was, positivity, and almost like when we've got news to tell you guys, we can tell you, we will be transparent, we will let everyone know, because the last thing we want to do is emotionally get people worked up.
But we don't have anybody, do we? There isn't a figurehead.
Kevin Carroll?
I think if people need a leader, that's quite concerning. I understand that things kind of fall into the order where there is a hierarchy and you end up with a leader, but if people literally go and start rioting and not know where to place themselves because they need one man to lead them,
I'm not talking about rioting. I'm just talking about somebody to get behind. I mean,
oh yeah, no, but I mean, people are rioting in response to it, and it's quite concerning.
Well, no, that is totally the wrong way to take it. Yes. Totally the wrong way. But doesn't that say more about the frustration of the people as well? You know, because we've all been saying for such a long time, you know, what is wrong in this country and how, you know, we're not being considered. And there is so much frustration out there that this is the fuse, I suppose, that's been lit for some of that frustration to come out.
We need an ex-military man. We need somebody, to serve this country,
somebody with discipline,
with distinction, right? Who can, very authoritative, right? Who we can look up to and respect because, he fought, he's done his bit and all the rest of it. And somebody that's willing to get in and he's not scared. Kev Carroll, I like the guy from what I saw of his very good speaker. but they're going to character assassinate him because of his past with the EDL.
Yeah.
So, you know, say with Tommy, if you've got somebody who comes out of the military that's got absolutely no blemishes on them, but believes in his country and wants to give us all the news that we need to hear, here's where the next demonstration is, here's what we're going to do. We might even set up a party or whatever, because, you know, that might be the way forward. And real people come into this party, not people who want to seek political power because they're psychotic, egotistical people, because there's enough of them around. That might work.
Point here. Because the vacuum, sorry, mate, because the vacuum that has been left now, Jonaya and I were talking about before, there's people emerging, whether it be YouTubers or people within the movement, that are slightly more egotistical and they're trying to push their own agenda rather than level the ship for everyone. You know, it's all about them and how can they propel themselves and the little snidey tricks they have to do in order to do that.
It's very disjointed, isn't it? You know,
there's less virtue than you would like to think in this movement.
Sorry.
There's
Jonaya?
less virtue in people. I know people like to think of it as like a bastion of morality and that everybody's doing it for the right reasons, but they're definitely not. And I realised that recently, and it's very depressing.
Yeah.
People are losing the morals within it all now because, you know, they're being pushed and pushed and pushed. But for me, it's like they don't realise how manipulated they're being or being, you know? I think it's all make-believe. They're trying to get you to react in this way. Don't forget, it only takes one street in one city for a group of guys to go out and start taking justice. Once that happens, that goes viral, it's going to spread like a frigging bushfire.
Well, they're already trying to make us out to be terrorists because we're allegedly far right. I'm not far right. I would be what you would have called a classic liberal back in the day, but whatever it is now, we're out for common sense. But you see, there's people who are not as far down the road that we're traveling, right? We started learning stuff about our governments and what goes on and behind the scenes and all the corruption and everything else, probably before they did. And they're still on their travels. So at the moment, they you know, some people have got a lot more to learn, but it's trying to stop them battering the daylights out of random people that they see as the enemy, because the only person that's the enemy out there is the government. All right.
The individual people are definitely not the enemy. You know, let's just say, you know, we always qualify it, but Muslims per se are not the enemy. It's the system that's allowing them to push their beliefs to the front, and that is our government. You know, they have their beliefs. They believe they're right. They believe their way of life is right. Their religion is right. And if they're given an opportunity, of course, they're going to take it and try and push for it. And our government are the ones, as you said, you know, that are to blame for allowing the foothold to have taken place, and to the appeasement that the lady has been showing this week is nauseating in the extreme.
Let's just celebrate the slaughter of animals badly, and let's just celebrate this. And I was led to believe that they had some sort of do where Lee Rigby was murdered. That's flying in the face of it. And then this is what I heard. I can't 100%, but it was around there. It was a celebration for the end of Ramadan. But what I also heard is that Sadiq Khan has put on something for the weekend. I can't 100% guarantee. I've got it off a base Welshman. So, but he said that Sadiq Khan's putting on some more celebrations for the end.
There's an Eid festival in Trafalgar Square on the 23rd. Now, our demonstration is taking a different route. We shouldn't come past Trafalgar Square, but we're still in quite close proximity because our demonstration is ending in Millwall, isn't it?
Now, that's been done on purpose, Carol.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I knew, Eid was being celebrated last weekend, wasn't it, by most people? Didn't they all turn out in Birmingham with their bums in the air? You know, that was 140,000. This is a show of strength, isn't it?
Yeah. If they can go just like that and say 140,000 people on the street, these people that go, oh, we need to violently uprise. What, you're going to do it against 140,000 people? Good luck with that. And incidentally, you're going around with the sort of another religion when actually your problem is with the government and the way they divide people and the way they make certain rules for one and not for the other and all the rest of it. They're the ones you got the problem with.
That's absolutely right.
If we had a decent government, we'd get rid of political correctness, we'd get rid of common purpose, we'd get rid of this Marxist bollocks that goes, pardon my French now, everywhere, right? All of this, we'd have a bit more common sense in the place. But they're the ones that are pushing it. They're the ones that are taking stuff like Brexit and then going to wreck it because it's not really up to you kids. You know, we decide what happens. You're just the peasants. Well, the peasants have had enough. But what they're doing is they're making out that the enemy is Islam.
Is that
totally?
Yeah.
The enemy is them, right?
You know.
I agree with Phil.
But you put the law out equally, and everybody was policed in the same way. There wouldn't be half of this problem. But you know, it's got to be done. PC.
Have any of you guys heard of ITNJ?
No. Sorry, are we talking about users now?
No, I'm talking about a clip that I got probably a week or so ago, and then I've ended up looking at another clip, and it's opened my eyes. It's the International Tribunal for Natural Justice.
Oh, no, I've not heard of that.
No, new one to me.
Right, there you go. Right. Now, you will know it, Carol, because you spoke of John Wedger.
Yeah.
Now, John Wedger is an ex-Scotland Yard CID officer that's turned whistleblower.
He did that quite a while ago, didn't he?
Right. Okay, now I only...
He's been resurrected again recently, and he's been... Oh, yeah, I didn't really... He was at a tribunal, you're quite right. I hadn't recognised the ITNJ. I did see him being questioned at that tribunal, yes. I have heard of it.
It's an absolutely horrifying... Now, I got off one comment today when I was looking through the comments. The reason why we want you to talk about Tommy, Phil, is because it's the biggest story in the world. Now, what this CID officer is talking about is the procurement of kids running right through the system, that he's been silenced. It runs right up to the highest echelons of society within the police and high ranks in the BBC. He's got all the info there. He's been threatened. He's not been paid for 3 years. You know, he's all kinds of things and threats with his kids.
I don't know if you remember when you did that interview with me in Rochdale, I think it was, and I read the poem about the grooming gangs. Right. And I said that I'd put something out on my Nanny Robinson Facebook page about grooming gangs. I documented some history, and I said, but I missed 3 important names out. Right. And my memory is so crap that I couldn't remember even then when I was telling you that I'd forgotten them, what their names were. But John Wedger was one of them that I was referring to at that time. I've seen videos of him from quite a while back where he spoke about what had happened, and he's been persecuted in the same way that Tommy Robinson's been persecuted. He's been persecuted. He had a child that was seriously ill in hospital, and he was being told that his children were going to be taken away from him. You know, he's going to lose his job, he's going to lose his house. All these things were piled on him.
He's a brave man, but at the end of the day, you've got to go to your grave knowing you did the right thing when you were alive. And
that is what he said at this tribunal. So
look at that woman,
which was recent. Yeah,
that woman who's been put away for 2 years, and the exact details of why she was put away is vague. You can't. Melanie
Shaw.
But she was going to name.
Yeah, why aren't people talking about that as much? People don't really seem to care about that.
They've lost a lot of details.
I don't think it's that they don't care. I think it's that they don't know.
Yeah, that's fair, to be honest. Yeah.
This is a point that I'm making, guys. There's all this going on. I mean, this ITNJ. You had another meeting with a Ronald Bernard, a Dutch international banker. He's talking about basically Luciferianism right at the highest echelons, and he's doing money transactions with drug money, you know, ruining countries. And he's saying a lack of conscience. Now, what I'm trying to say is that These are stories that should be just as important as everything else that we're talking about. I looked at this video, where is it? John Wedger video. It had, on the page I looked at, it had 234 views. Now, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to sit out because I'm going to let you guys get on with it. If I'd have put the word, if I'd have re-uploaded that and put Tommy Robinson first, as in the ID, every man and his dog would have looked at that. This is the craziness. Now, I'm not saying people should not look at Tommy Robinson. I'm saying this is the bubble that is created here. There's so much other stuff that's flying under the net or under the radar. And I'm not saying people shouldn't look at Tommy Robinson or support him. I think we should do all of that.
But he's the catalyst, isn't he? Tommy Robinson is the catalyst for everything else that's gone before. I mean, people...
Train of thought.
Sorry?
Yeah, to me, it's took over everyone's train of thought in regards to what's going on in the world.
It has, and it's captured the attention of the whole world, hasn't it? I mean, you know, there are so many countries now that are protesting and doing everything else. They're doing it on the back of misinformation. But I think the principle of why they're doing it is there. People recognise that our freedoms are being taken away from us. You know, it's about Tommy Robinson and what we perceive as the injustice, but I think it's a little bit more than that. I think it is this fact that our freedoms are. It's not just freedom of speech that's being taken away, it's freedom of movement now. You know, Section 35s, as you know, Phil, you know, handed out. There were reports at the last demonstration that people in Manchester were being threatened with Section 35s to stop them getting on the London-bound trains. Now, I don't know if that's true. I've not looked into it. But if that's true, you know, it's not just our speech that's curtailed. It's our movement, our freedom of movement that they're trying to stop. So I think it's a little bit beyond just being Tommy Robinson, and an acknowledgement that, you know, that there's more that's threatening to us as well. I mean, we've all stuck our heads above the parapet. I didn't mean to. Thank you very much, Phil.
Life ruined.
I didn't choose this.
Ruined your life.
But I think I'd reached the stage where I needed people to listen to what I was saying, because in my mind, what I'm saying is right. And I know that a lot of you all agree with a lot of what I do and say. But we can't all be out there doing it in the same way. You guys do great jobs with the way you do it. You know, I couldn't do what you do. So I do it in my own way, and other people find their own way of doing things. But I think the point I'm making is it's the level of frustration. And I'd reached the level of frustration that made me say, do you know what? I don't give a shit what people think of me. I'm going to say what I think. And, you know, so I've started doing it, and I will either thank you or hate you for it, Phil. But that's just me, and I think other people as well are at that level where we've been ignored for so long, and we're looking for an outlet now. And Tommy Robinson was the catalyst. Yeah, you know, he's not the reason.
We need a lot more women in this, because at the moment I couldn't look at you from any angle and go right wing, right? So that's good. Right, and it's the same with Jonaya.
I'm a Nazi.
I've been called a white nationalist, a white supremacist. I've been called everything. I was like, logic's just gone out of the window, hasn't it now? And then I'm telling someone it, and they said, "Oh, you don't have to be white to support white supremacy." And Simon of Akkad was like, "This is one of the most disheartening things I've ever heard." I was like, "Yeah, that just about sums it up." Like, what?
You basically you can't reason with ignorance, can you? So you can't win the argument.
You've got some fans in the chat here. People are asking if you're single and everything, mate. So don't worry, you're doing fine. All right, you've definitely got to follow in. You don't get that when you're a bloke. Just say it.
I'm sure you've got your secret admirers out there. Have you found some
they're all
Marines?
Specsavers.
Simon, there was that one comment I had, and in regards to the video about the 23rd, when I was trying to say, women basically have got the right mentality in order to be front of house with this and this, that, and the other, more composed. Some geezer, I mean, apart from some going, I can't believe you put women first and all this good stuff, but there was one that actually said, Phil's just doing this to get a shag.
Oh, I saw that comment. I saw that. I was laughing so much.
Fucking wrap up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it ain't working, is it, Phil? Not well. You've got a missus anyway, but I've got to be honest.
Jesus Christ, one's bad enough. Believe me, I can't afford that.
Yeah, no, you don't do this to try and get a shag. There's a lot of easier ways to do it than that, I can tell you that.
You pay for one, many men do.
I think you're right, though, Simon, in the sense that women can change the direction of this. As you said, you look at me and you can't see anybody, sort of far right. And it's breaking the narrative, isn't it? And women can do that. If we can.
She needs a mention. She's Sharon Little Lioness. She's great. She was the one that was interviewed up at Birmingham, I think it was. Is it Birmingham or Manchester? I can't remember.
With Carol?
Manchester.
Manchester. No, that was the second time, because the first time I think it was at Birmingham.
It was in London. I think London, perhaps.
Well,
I don't know.
She's done all of them lately because she's on the train. She don't care. Gone. But she's a hell of a woman. And she says it just as it is, and she's got a lovely little regional accent as well, which is quite cute. And yeah, she's great. And even if she's only red pilled, say, about 13 or 14 of her friends, that's enough, because it works like this. Out it goes, and everybody does it. And this is what I say: you've got to tell people every day. You've got to try and red pill at least one person a day. And if you're doing that, that's fine, because people are saying, "Oh, what do we do? We can't do YouTube like you," or whatever. Well, if you've got some information, you can send it to us, any one of us. Or you could promote our channels, or you can tell other people about the marches that are going on, or you could, any information that you find out that's a bit corrupt or whatever, tell everybody else. Let them know what the government and other things are doing. Tell them about things like the Marxist way they're going through universities, schools, the way they're bullying people with that. Tell them about common purpose and how that affects people in higher up places and all the rest of it. Tell them about all the corruption, because at the moment, a lot of people are going, don't affect me. Well, very soon it's going to affect you. But by then, it may well be too late.
I don't see that mentality at all. I mean, there was one, I went to do an interview with, Martin Dijon, about he was a social worker for the No View School. Now, where he lives, I'm not going to announce where he lives, but let's say it was something like out of Last of the Summer Wine. Didn't even have traffic lights in the village. Seriously, it was that quintessential. It was really quiet. Not only did you kind of totally relax, but it's like if you was to try and go to that area and try and red pill them as to the slow Islamification of this country and all the social issues that are coming with it, they would laugh in your face.
I wouldn't get it.
You can't see it.
Yeah,
I live in a tiny little country village in the West Country, and people ask you, and the hairdresser, a guy, right, male hairdresser, was asking me about stuff, and his face went completely blank. You know, when you're just talking to a piece of flesh now, it's like it's not working anymore. So I thought, I'll pull back a bit, because the poor bastard was startled, right? He was in a pub, like, off my go, right? But I went to get my haircut at a later date. He goes, do you know what? He says, I've been watching that Tommy stuff. That was bollocks. And I was like, who? He never swears. And he goes, I watched all an hour of that. He said, and there's a march coming up, isn't there? I went, well, you know about that? He went, yeah. I went, finally, it's getting through. But it is happening. And I live in a tiny village where there is no traffic lights. Well, there is one to get out the village.
Good.
But yeah.
But that's what I'm saying about having somebody at the head that people will get to. I mean, some of the information that was put out about Tommy wasn't right, but it's been enough to galvanize people to actually, as you say, with the guy you've just said about, to look at what's happening. So it's not altogether a bad thing. It just needs to be reined in a bit now. Let his solicitors do the job that they need to do. Let them appeal in any way that they can. I think the most we can hope for is that he'll get a reduced sentence if they do have a case to answer. they won't let him out altogether, because that would, they'd lose too much face by doing that. But we have to step back now, let the lawyers do it, keep letting him know that he's got the support, and let him formulate his own plan while he's in there for what he wants to do and how he wants to take it forward when he comes out, if he's allowed to.
It would be nice for us to show our support. And also, I don't agree on what they did, right? Britain first, right? But I don't agree on their methods, but they're political prisoners themselves, right? These people, like Tommy and that, we should have a GoFundMe so that when he comes out, he's got a lump. I mean, it's not going to make up for what he's gone through or anything like that. But just a thank you, it's like, there's $100 grand, because it wouldn't be too much. I mean, if we put out a GoFundMe for Tommy, this is a little present for when he gets out. Send him and his missus on holiday to try and recoup and all the rest of it. Something. How do you thank a man like that? Money's the last thing, but it's all we've got. I mean, we can't all give him a cuddle; he'd get crushed. But you want to send some love to the bloke, innit? And I feel sorry for that Paul Golding. I don't agree on what he did, like going to places and getting in their faces, but he was worried about the situation, and so was that whatever her name was. She was quite cute.
Jada Franson.
They went about things the wrong way, but
totally.
But what they did do with a lot of people was to highlight what's going on, because without them doing that, we wouldn't see, how the Muslim communities feel about us. So I don't agree with their methodology, but it actually did serve a purpose to make us. It's a hard one, isn't it? How do you bring to the attention of Joe Bloggs on the street what is happening in these areas that they are not living in and they're not seeing, unless you go in and do it? So no, I don't agree with their methodology, but it did serve a purpose. That's a bit two-edged, really. That's a bit, wanting my cake and eat it, isn't it? But
it's like you say, they may have had the right intentions, they may not have. I don't know them personally, but I know some of it doesn't look brilliant. But at the end of the day, just like anyone else within this movement now, they're seeing the country go down the pan. So when you keep getting told and you keep getting castigated to be a certain way of thinking because you're like that, you're getting sacked, you're getting blocked off this, you're getting blocked off that. Even Brit girls getting problems now. I don't even know whether she's doing a speech because of the level of, you could say, mild intimidation that's being put on her not to really do a speech. So with all that, that is going to boil out emotionally, and you're going to get people that will react. Now, the unclever thing for me is when people, Alan is a pedo and all them kind of stupid songs that are going in and emulating around. It doesn't help the cause. Me personally, I do feel we have to be a little bit more Martin Luther King. Through true adversity, we've got to be positive. It is the only way. And it's getting... I agree with what you were saying before, Jonaya, about we don't need a leader in a sense, because we should all be strong enough to take this fight. I totally agree. And when I kind of suggested bringing a leader, what I meant to say is that someone who's as cool as a cucumber, who's going to sort this out and going to sort the attitudes out of what is happening that is rising in this country.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's natural to have leaders, isn't it, really? Everything has a leader or somebody at the top, and every decent movement has a leader. I'm just slightly concerned by the behaviour now that the leader's gone. It's not great. So, and he will be okay in prison. There's no way they're going to let him die. Like Nanny Robinson said, it wouldn't be worth it. It wouldn't be worth it. So,
can you imagine? What would happen? The streets would. Enoch Powell's prediction would come true. I think. But what gets to me the most, though, is the imbalance of how our government are treating the whole situation, and with what they're doing towards the Islamic communities, and the appeasement that they're being shown at every step of the way, and yet they're stamping down on us. I mean, surely to goodness, anybody with a degree of common sense can see that that's just asking for us to rise up, is asking for us to react.
That's what they want. So they can
it is, isn't it?
Laws. I mean, you'd have to be completely deaf, dumb, and blind not to see it. They want us to riot. They want us to cause problems so they can bring down more draconian rules. And here's the thing: at the moment, with our army might well side with us if it all went off badly, right? However, this European army, they're not going to be loyal to this country.
No.
And if that actually came about, then they would probably be brought in to help quell any rioting. And this is the problem. But having said that, if you see, and I'm not sure, we were looking at it earlier on, there's a load of footage over in Italy where all the riot police just took off their helmets, put down the shields, and the crowd were all applauding them.
Yeah.
Because I think there's massive changes in Europe. We'll be the last. We started it, but we'll be the last to go through with it. Like,
well, we will, because of the political system that we have. You know, and we're fighting the political system, aren't we, all the time? I mean, you know, I do a lot of my stuff in poem form, and every single one of them, you know, makes reference to the government. You know, my anger is directed at the government. It's not directed at the people. You know,
this is it's a fight against the establishment. I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, going back to John Wedger and Ronald Bernard, if people could listen to them and the people that they're trying to tell us that are the true bad people, they're the people that are financing all this going on, all this destabilization, all the resources, you know, the exploiting people all over, the sex trafficking, the paedophile rings. This is all them. Now, these are the same people that are using Islam as a tool. So this is, for me, it just comes all the way back round that we're kind of running at the secondary problem here.
If the media were allowed to do a proper job, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in now. It's because, you know,
did you see that they called you Parmez? They said you're the modern Parmez. That's quite nice, isn't it?
Actually got
well, it's very rhythm and rhyme. Everything that I do is rhythm and rhyme, which is what Pam Ayres did. So I think that's the connection there. I don't think she was political, though.
Got a poem, Carol.
I've got lots of poems. What subject would you like?
We have a poem break, guys. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm up for that. Make a nice bit of poetry.
By Simon there, worries me. I don't know what was going on there. Go for it.
Okay, this one is, I've called it The Boat People, and the idea for this, and I'm going to mention this because hopefully she'll see this live stream. A friend of mine on one of the groups, we were discussing the fact that Italy have turned the boats back, and we were all ecstatic, you know, hooray, common sense at last. And she came out with a sentence, and it's about America, and she'll recognise it when I get to that bit in the poem. But it was her sentence that triggered this off. The worrying thing is that we were all ecstatic because they'd turned the boats away from Italy, but they've let them dock in Spain now, haven't they, instead? But this is called The Boat People, then. You ready for this? Do you want this?
Yes.
They leave the coast of Libya, set off a few short miles. The NGOs then ferry them across the ocean's tides. To Italy they take them when Libya is so close. Does this make sense to anyone? Is this the route they chose? Italy's towns are bursting with the flotsam of the sea. It's no accident that they land there. This is plain for all to see. Our continent is bursting. We have no more room inside to house and feed these travellers who have chosen their own rides. They have no right to tell us that on Europe they can claim they need to be returned now straight right back from whence they came. This may sound harsh and callous, but it is not how it appears, for this madness has been with us now for years and years and years. If I paddled off the Irish coast, would it be fair to say that America must house me now and that Americans must then pay? The nonsense of this process is unjust to all concerned. Let common sense return once more and this madness be o'erturned. It's not even for humanity that these people are now used. It's the government's and the EU's plans that these people be abused. My heart goes out to all of them, for they too have been tricked by the establishment who drive this and who we dare not contradict. So stop this unjust treatment of the peoples of all lands in a drive to globalise us. It is time to make a stand. Stand up against the masters who destroy all that they touch. In the name of sanity and reason, is that asking for too much? Stop using people's weakness to exploit your evil plans. Return people to the lands they love and stop these caravans. Italy have now closed their doors, leaving the EU in a fix. Let's hope this starts the waterfall that stops their evil tricks.
Hey, get up, Mystic Wind.
Well, I'm standing up. There you go.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the sentiment there is right, because it's not just us that are suffering. It's these people that are being encouraged in Africa and the Middle East. There's propaganda out there that is driving them to come here, you know, and sorry, Jonaya.
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry. Must be my earphone.
Well, the point is they're being manipulated just like we are.
They are being manipulated in the same way that we are, and nobody's happy, nobody's benefiting, nobody's winning. You know, we're all losers. The people that are coming as well. You know, so it sounds harsh to say send them back, but there's nothing for them here.
No.
Well, we've got to come to facts that if it was a house, you've got a certain expenditure. And that expenditure can't meet the requirements of every person who's just going to roam into the country, because it doesn't just stop with one thing. It goes right through the board, whether it be national health, you know, whether it be interpreters, whether it be housing, clothing, the whole lot of it. And it's when you've got homeless on the street, it's a common sense issue. It's redundant. It really is.
Everywhere you drive in the country now, you're seeing housing estates being thrown up, literally thrown up, you know, and they're little rabbit hutch houses, you know, on what was Greenbelt, you know, on different parts of the country. And why do we need all of these houses? It's not for our own birth rate. You know, it's not for that we need it. We need it for all the immigrants that have come in. And whenever you say that, you know, the people on the left say, oh, you're racist, you know, and it's ridiculous. It's just a basic situation of numbers. And it grieves me when I drive off, you know, to the edge of villages and you see another new housing estate, and you know, it's wrong. It's
not
wrong.
racist, it's realist. And
yeah,
you know, they all say we're right. Somebody came up with a mate of mine, actually. He says we're not far right, we're forced right. And that's what's happening at the moment.
Yeah.
People are being forced in that direction because nobody else is listening to them.
You're right. Yeah.
To be fair, I wouldn't even say I'm a right wing at all. I never have been. I'm more of a centrist, so like liberal libertarian type. But I know what you mean. It's true.
If I do that political test, it says I'm economically on the left, and I give the extreme left a load of shit. So when I did this test, I was like, oh god,
projection.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like everything else, though. Everything's sort of twisted around, and nothing's what it purports to be. You know, like fascists. You know, what side are the fascists on? Are they right? Are they left? You know. The anti-fascists and now the fascists, you know, nothing is what it purports to be anymore. And all this name calling is just, well, it's farcical, really.
The anti-fascists are quite funny, aren't they? Because they're the most fascist sods going, aren't they?
Everything's
the ones
perverted. It's like the anti-fascists are the fascists, the blacks and the ethnics are now the white supremacists. What has happened? The individualists are now claiming that they're identitarians. Libertarians are claiming they're part of the alt-right. I'm like, I don't know what's going on anymore.
When they call you a white supremacist, I just piss my pants laughing. I'm like, hang on a minute. It's just
where he say, you know, if you could all just stand in each other's place, stand one step to the left and stand in, you know, the person next to your position. It's like we're all flipping politically what we're all about, but at the same time, we're creating so much division by doing it. Imagine how confusing this is for children growing up.
Just don't study politics. Imagine doing politics in sixth form now. It was bad enough when I was there, but it's like, these are anti-fascists, but what I need to tell you, well, they wouldn't be this honest, but if they were being honest, what they'd say is these are anti-fascists and they're fascists. But imagine watching that and learning about them and thinking, but we just read the other day about fascism and they're behaving like fascists. Leave politics, don't do it. Do law.
I mean, all this labelling is just, it's out of control now, isn't it? I mean, when we were down in London, there was Phil, myself and Eddie is okay. The three of us had a photo taken together and we're all called racists, aren't we?
Is Eddie the black guy?
Oh, that's funny.
It was like,
you know,
it was a Benetton. It was a beautiful picture.
You can't work it out, can you?
I know. But you know what, guys? let's change up the subject in terms of what's going on this Saturday. Now,
yes.
before we get into what's going on in London, Big John Lawrence, who's getting ever more popular by the minute, is going to be up here in Manchester. He's going to be attending the Northwest Regional Summit of Stand Up to Racism.
Oh, wow.
It should be good to watch afterwards. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a juicy one because I think
Section 35 on the way.
It'll be all over the place. Yeah, Diane Abbott, I think, is going to be there if I've got it right. And it's obviously Saturday, the 23rd of June, 2 p.m. till 5 p.m. at the British Muslim Heritage Centre, College Road, Manchester, M16. Oh, my eyes are bad. 8BP. I'll say that again. The British Muslim Heritage Centre, College Road, Manchester, M16, 8BP. Now, he's going to get down there. I'm sure he's going to have a few people there. I don't know whether he's going to be streaming it or whether just recording it.
Johnny's going to be streaming.
He'll be all over that. And he's going to try and do a positive thing and just basically do what he calls a static demo. He's not going to get in anyone's faces. He's just going to stand there. What's that, Carol? Oh, do you need to?
Give me a minute.
Yeah, we know what about there, Carol.
Sorry, carry on.
No problem. So, yeah, that's what he's doing. So if anyone can't make it to London and you're round about the Northwest area, or you can get yourself down to Manchester, go and join John with that, because that's going to be very interesting. Other than that, sorry, guys, just bear with me. As I take it, both of you guys are coming Saturday.
Yeah, I've not booked my tickets yet. It's kind of a disaster. I think I'll have to go down on Friday night, just because there's some other things I'm meant to be doing as well, but I'll tell you that when we speak on the phone. No
problem at all. Right, well, this one obviously is the UK FM March, meeting place, Carlisle Place near Victoria Station. Starts at 2 p.m. And the speakers will start at 3 p.m. There's a whole list of speakers. It's basically the theme is Brexit and betrayal. So with that, guys, and you're back here, Carol, who wants to start first with what's going to go on this Saturday?
I don't know. I ain't got a clue. I'm just going to rock up and enjoy it and then just cover it like that, because I haven't heard anything. So, yeah, I'm just going to show up.
Best approach, just chill it out, see what happens. Ride the wave.
But you, Carol?
I'm going on the 23rd. I'm actually going to be standing up and doing a little speech.
You're going to read some poems out, aren't you?
Yeah. If I just hope my ability is as good as my ambition.
Oh, I've never
done it. I've never done anything sort of, before Phil got me, I'd never really done anything. So it's all new territory for me.
How do you think I felt?
If I fall flat on my face, I shall come and find you at the end of the march.
You always drink a glass of wine.
So if the Tommy supporters who think I'm just here for PayPal or get a shag, I'm going to have Nanny Robinson chasing me up the street as well.
I mean, what I'm hoping for the 23rd is that we don't have too much attention on the Tommy Robinson situation.
Oh God, don't say that. You'll get trolled in the chat.
No, it will get mentioned, and it needs to be mentioned, but it's not the focus of that demonstration.
Yeah.
The focus of the demonstration is Brexit and betrayal, and our loss of free speech. I think that's the theme of the demonstration, and we need to try and hopefully keep it that way, because there's going to be another one for Tommy on the 14th of July.
There's also one in Leeds. Sorry to interrupt. So, yeah, there's one in Leeds on like the 9th of July, I think it is. And there's also one in Cambridge on the, I don't know, it's in July after the one in London, but I can't remember the day.
That's the other thing as well with the number of demonstrations. So many people, they just can't do them all. They're springing up all over the place. And whilst we need to be out there, it's very hard to, to sort of get to them all, do them all. and I know a lot of people say, I can't afford to do this one, or I've got work commitments, or, you know, this sort of thing. So there's got to be a bit of rationale in how these demonstrations. Sorry, Simon.
Yeah, I've got this.
So we're just putting our hands up now. Is that the new thing? Just
look over here needs to say something. Yeah, I've set up a thing on the Discord channel that I've got, and it's got car share, so that people who are exactly the same thinking as us, because it's just people like us that are on there to talk, right? You can go on there, say where you're coming from roughly, and then the person can go, yeah, I'm coming from the same area, do you want a car share? And it will make it cheaper for people to get down to these places. Okay, so yeah, I don't know how to put a link in your thing, but if you, oh God, I'm not gonna plug my channel now, how sad. If you go over to my go over to my YouTube channel. How much of these coffees have I had? All right, go over to the YouTube channel. Yes, couple. But yeah, go over to that, and it's got a link of how to work it, and then you can go on there and then hopefully work out a lift with somebody, because there's a few of us coming from, say, Wales, Southwest, Birmingham, up near Manchester, and further afield. They're even south of London, north of London, whatever. So you just organise it amongst yourselves, really. But it's not cheap doing this. Really not cheap.
No.
I think what we need to do at the end of this year, we need to look at lessons that need to be learned in terms of all the marches tend to have a slight different theme, which is fair enough because there's so much ground to cover. But at some point, we've got to unify under kind of one message, really, to get the numbers in. And like I say, by doing that, you're probably cutting down about 8 or 9 marches per year anyway. Centralise it to 2 or 3 and make them the absolutely biggest frigging event that have ever been, you know? Rather than everyone having the point to make, and and I don't like him and I don't like them. Oh, you follow UKIP, I'm not having that. Oh, you follow for Brit, oh, I'm not doing that. It's getting all a little bit silly now for me.
Yep.
Oh yeah, people were arguing, earlier on my Twitter, because Sargon's trying to get me to join UKIP. He was like, my dude, if you join UKIP, I was like, no, I'm not going to join any parties yet. And then I tweeted that, and then people were like, I'll make the right decision, join for Brit. And I was like, no thanks. And I said that then slightly venomous. It wasn't that. I was just like, no, I don't want to join any political parties. And then people were bickering like, oh, well, it's going to destroy UKIP anyway. Dankula and Paul Joseph Watson and Sargon joining for the bants. It will make the party look stupid. And I was like, oh.
That's a bit bitter and twisted, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit like, come on.
Sargon and all the others, right? If they're going to draw attention to a political party, crack on. Well done to them. I mean, anything's got to be better than Labour and Conservative at the moment.
They're nice guys as well, and they're sensible. And I'm a bit biased because they're a classical liberal, so they're centrist, so I like them anyway. But I love Paul and I love Sargon, and I love Dankula. I don't know what he identifies as politically. I don't think he adheres to a certain ideology or identifies as anything.
He's
but
not
he's very
anymore.
Centrist. He's not a communist. So that's good.
He used to have the communist tattoo on him just for the crack, and he goes, no, seriously, I'm not a communist. But yeah, he's funny. I like it where he got his shackles. Did you see his video? Thank you, Israel.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. It's funny.
Right, so listen, is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
Guys, I thought I had something and then done that.
Well, no, we'll see you up there this weekend. Come and say hello. It's nice.
Are we all going to the pub afterwards? I'll message you.
Right. Yeah. I
am going to get drunk. It's happening. But yeah, a few of us have organised going to the pub, so I don't know. We can make a group chat or something. I can tell you guys. So
yeah, because I'll be parking the van up and staying overnight because I'm going to go to Speaker's Corner the next day because it's always a good crack.
I'm staying overnight. I'm going to go to Speaker's Corner. Let's go together.
Oh wow!
I'll hold your camera, mate.
Right, guys. Jonaya, how can people best contact you?
Through Twitter at Sergeant Frisky. I'm still surprised at the lack of people who actually ask where I got that handle from. Or at what's my email? That laugh was funny then. info@jonaya.co.uk. Or if you just type my name in on Facebook, you'll find either my Facebook account or my page or Instagram. It's such a rare name. If you just type my name in on whatever platform, you'll find me.
About you, Nanny? How people can contact yourself?
Well, I've just got my Nanny Robinson Facebook page. That's there's not an awful lot on there, but I do put things on there that I think might be interesting. And I actually made a video You know, I said I'd never go that route because I don't know how to do it. I mean, the quality's not good. But I talked about multiculturalism and have we always been a multicultural society? It's not, I hope it's not too much of like a lecture, but it's just trying to bring some information and get people to realise that, you know, they don't have to believe what they're being told, you know, on being multicultural. So bits like that, you know. Yeah, Nanny Robinson Facebook.
How about you, Simon?
Scotland Yard. Get me. No, seriously, I've got 2 channels. Reverend Simon Sideways, and there's the other one which doesn't swear very much called Reverend Simon Sideways.
Why don't you swear on that one?
Well, I had complaints because I used to F and Jeff quite a bit. I've got to blame myself because yeah, a little bit, bit annoyed. But there was people going, "I hate it when you swear." So I stopped swearing. They went, "I hate it when you don't swear." I went, "Oh, mate."
Did you do this video one way you swear and one way you don't?
Yeah, I'm doing this video. I'm 3/4 of the way through. It's 15 minutes in, whatever. And I go, "Oh, you." So it is a bit of a problem. But yeah, I've also started up another channel with Craig, who used to be known as Ruffian Dick. And we've had quite a few interesting people on. We've had Anish Patel from Britain.
For Britain.
Yeah, didn't go the other way there.
Britain first.
Yeah, and apparently Anne-Marie Waters is going to be coming on. We're trying to get a few UKIP people, and we've got that lady who spoke, the MEP that got her microphone cut off. She's coming on soon.
Oh, Janice Atkinson or something?
Atkinson, yeah.
Am I totally off there? Is that her name?
No, Janice
Atkinson.
Yeah. So if you want to ask her a few questions, get your ass on it. There you go. So other than that, yeah, that's it. The only place you can find me is on the floor.
Drinking coffee.
It's a shame because you texted me earlier and said, would it be all right if Craig jumped on? Because I went on, I was invited onto a stream with you guys a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. He said because Brit Girl was coming on, or at that point she was, unfortunately, she's not been able to join us. I felt to have that one more would have been just too many, but I'm sorry now because he would have had a lot to contribute, but we'll have to do another one in the future and we'll invite Craig on.
Well, you never know. We could do a Saturday night job after the demonstration. We could do a live stream in the pub.
Can you imagine? I think if Brit Girl had been on, I think she probably would have been talking about the Marrakesh Declaration. That's something that she's just announced. And it's actually something that I mentioned in that video that I said about multiculturalism. And I'm not going to start a whole chain of conversation because we've gone on long enough, but I think Brit Girl would have probably covered that. And it's just another agreement that's been made without our permission. And these have been going on all the way. It goes right back to the Rabat process in 2006. There's so many different agreements that they've made.
And what's that? The one that's named after something in Spain, the Barcelona Declaration.
Something in Spain.
Yeah, you know, geographically, I get lost in your own flat. All right, so yeah, I'm not very good. But yeah,
the Barcelona Declaration was back in 1995. That was when it all started. But since then, there have been more and more agreements done and signed off without us knowing anything about them at all. And I know Brit Girl has just found about the Marrakesh Declaration, and it's basically, you know, opening it up to even more people to come over.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, Ted Heath, was it Ted Heath who sold us out to the EU in the beginning?
Ted Heath, yeah.
You know, you could say it's been going ever since then, maybe even before. You know, this has been a slow trickle. People shouldn't think that this just happened over the last 10 years.
The mass immigration started in 1948 when the Empire Windrush docked. Right. And that's what they're talking about now with all these people that are being targeted. That's why they call it the Windrush. That's the name of the ship that they came over on.
But the people on the Windrush had been asked to come over because they'd already fought for us during the war. They'd done a great job for us, and then they'd sent them back. And they said, well, actually, since we've had our place bombed to living daylights, do you fancy
come and help us rebuild it?
Have a couple of shit jobs, and you can live in some really crap, horrible places, and you can have a load of racism. And are you sold? And the silly buggers went, yeah, we'll have a bit of that. And the poor buggers have been through it ever since. But loyal, dedicated. I mean, stand up to the national anthem and all the rest of it. These people deserve all of our admiration, and I like them, and that's it.
That deal was made on mutual respect, and mutual beneficial kind of, you know, we're both getting something out of this. And you can see through music, through food, you know, that we are mixing, we are integrating well. With what's going on at the moment, that cannot be collated or confused with what went on in 1948. Unfortunately, there's still a hell of a lot of black people that still want to see it as that, you know, as if to say, well, we would allow back in then, why aren't these allowed in now? You know, you can see, you know, and then they try to bring the racism element, and it just doesn't make sense.
Because you were part of one of our empire, well, part of our empire, and you'd fought and died for our country. That's pretty much a reference right there, isn't it?
Sure.
If you've got 20 minutes to spare, just pop on Nanny Robinson and listen to what I say about multiculturalism, because I give the definition of the two types of multiculturalism. I give a history of who are the British people, and then I talk about the immigration that's been happening. If you're interested, there's sort of quite a lot of information there. And at the end, I leave you all to decide for yourselves whether we are multiracial, multicultural, or not. But, yeah.
Quick question, just before we go. The march on Saturday, what kind of numbers are you anticipating?
I've got a feeling that the Tommy Robinson demos will have knocked the numbers back a bit. People will have come to Tommy Robinson's one and thought, I've done my bit, and may not turn out. I hope I'm wrong.
8,000.
8,000.
I say in the thousands. Can't put a number on it. I'm rubbish with numbers.
No, I can't even guess at what it's going to be, but I've got a feeling it'll be lower than they want it to be.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Brexit represents so much for people. It's not just about immigration. It's about sovereignty. It's about, you know, a whole manner of subjects. So,
but the trouble is, if we can't get out and show our feelings in numbers, that gives them more reason to sort of walk all over us, doesn't it? Because they'll be saying people aren't that bothered.
Yeah, look how many turned up.
Yeah, so we've got to get there, people. Yeah. Get off your bums, get on the pavement, get there.
And listen to a poem by Nanny Robinson.
Sorry?
And go and listen to a good poem by Nanny
Robinson. Yeah, so I don't know about.
Is there any last words anyone wants to say before I kind of call it a day on this?
No, I'm done.
No, not for now.
Right, guys, thank you very much for taking the time out for this stream. It's been really insightful. Hopefully people have seen it in a positive light, and they won't trigger too much on the certain we've kind of got. But who knows? The comments going to dictate it. Let's see what comes through here now, whether it'll be frothy or what. But,
there's always right-wing snowflakes.
Breaking news, explosion at Southgate Station. That's in your chat at the moment.
Really?
Breaking news, explosion at Southgate Station. That's got to be a troll, isn't it?
I've no idea. See, this is it. You've got to be careful. You know, we've just got to kind of research things.
We should have moderators on the chat, really. I know they're a thing, but I don't really know much about the live streaming, but it's probably good to have
I've been asked. I think people have actually put themselves forward and said, I'll do it, but I don't even know how to do it. Now, I accidentally do something the other day where
there's an explosion 59 minutes ago. People treated after explosion at Tube Station, London. Southgate, several people injured. Blast, North London. Yeah, right. Which is the latest? They'll go with that one. Right. Southgate. Yeah. Hang on a minute. Yes, there is an explosion. It hasn't said if anybody will be killed. Hopefully not. Several people have been injured after a minor explosion at Southgate Tube Station. Nothing to see here. British Transport Police said a small number of people were treated at the scene by paramedics following the blast just at 7 p.m, which sparked panic amongst commuters. I'm not bloody surprised.
It might have been a failed terrorist attack. You know, when things get so tragic that they can't even commit suicide properly, and it's just like a little pop or something like that. It could be something like that. Still not good, though, is it?
Well, yeah. I don't want to be conspiracy theories, but could this be another maybe an attempt to spark and ignite people's emotions again? I don't want to be that, but that's the first thing. Just like when I heard that false report, it's the first thing that come into my head. It's like, is that emotional strings being played with again?
Calm down, David Icke.
It is hard. I get what you're saying, you know, because you question everything that you hear now, don't you? What is the motive behind it? Who could have a reason for putting this information out? You know, and you just don't know what to think and believe anymore.
It's so difficult to mine through it, and the last thing you should do is just react off that raw information. Look at the bigger picture.
Step back and look and see what's going on, and don't just react to the headline. And yeah, that's exactly what we've got to do. Do I need to put a light on, because I think my picture's gone dark?
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was like, people are just fading away.
I know. I'm going to end up with my sleep bag here. I've actually got the big light on as
That's all right.
Hey, but you won't think it, would you? So it's like,
I was just looking at my little thumbnail there, and I thought, oh, it's a bit dark there. Okay. Well, looks as though we'll all see each other on the 20th.
Against the light, ready.
Peppers, please.
It
looks as though we'll all be there on the 23rd then.
It does indeed. I can't wait. It's going to be a big event. I'm going to get there as early as I can and just try and do what I normally do, work through the crowds, film as much of the speeches as possible, and have interviews, including with any of you guys if I see you there and you've got a spare minute, you know.
Is there a stage? Do we know if there's a stage?
And can we get passes?
Richard Inman was trying to get some GoFundMe money together to pay for good sound equipment, and I don't know if it's a stage or what, but certainly sound equipment. His appeal went out quite a while ago, and he said he needed about £9,000.
I think he's got like £2,000.
Yesterday he got about 3,000.
It's not bad, I guess.
So, but yeah, I mean, you know, people don't realise just what some people are investing into these things. You know, it's not just time, is it? You know, a lot of the organisers are putting their own money into the pot to carry off these events. You know, because we don't have any official funding.
I know that. Because even as early as the Veterans Against Terrorism in Newcastle, and I think maybe Edinburgh as well, I was talking to some of the vets, and they're like 15 to 20 grand in debt because of what's going on.
Yeah.
And they barely see the wives. The wives are going on holiday whilst they're doing marches because in order to keep an even keel, it's like, well, you go on holiday, and I know I should be there, but at least if you're going, we're less likely to have a divorce. You know what I mean? It's crazy, you know. So we all need support. All need support, you know. So it's a pity I didn't know about that, as I would have put that up on the link when I actually done the video itself.
He's got to go fund. I think it's a GoFundMe. He's certainly calling for you know, funds to cover some of the costs. Right. So yeah.
Well, let's hope it'll be a brilliant event anyway. I'm sure.
I'm looking forward to this one. I'm hoping things stay sane. But I think it's a good event. Yeah.
And the weather? Anyone got weather reports?
Haven't seen it.
Oh no, I haven't.
They've all been wrong in the past. They said it was going to pour down and it was fine, so I just ignore it now.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Simon. That's helpful.
For all occasions.
Yeah, just ignore it and don't plan for anything. That's what I say.
Well, it's funny because John and I, last time we travelled together to London, I got the report that it was going to be really nice weather, so I wore a pair of shorts and just like tied a hoodie round me, and I thought, right, I'm all right. He brought a big overcoat. He's like, oh, Phil, you're going to need a coat.
I love that impression of him.
That's good, wasn't it?
Sat down with him all day, and I'm looking at him going, yeah, he's the one now. So that's the one thing I don't want to do, you know. But hey,
London can be a little bit hotter than everywhere else.
Yes.
Hotter and more humid, but I haven't seen the forecast, so
I'll take the humidity just for a little bit for a while.
This place to conduct a live stream as well.
I've heard this rumour. Obviously, I never handle the technical side. Richard always does. So I don't know, but I've heard loads of people saying, oh, it's so hard to get good signal. I'm like, I don't understand any of the technicalities, but yeah, I've heard it's not great.
What it is everybody in that area is trying to ping the local tower to get a signal. So again, a live stream is almost impossible. And also, if you want your battery on your phone to last, I was told that if you put it into airplane mode, it won't be trying to get or use as much of its power to get a signal from the local signal post, whatever you want to call it. So that might be an idea to save your batteries while you're up there.
I'm going to give up for a live stream. I don't know whether to try it, Simon, because it's like, you know, when you get into it and then it keeps having to reconnect, and I don't know whether it's worth it. But
no, I'm going to video it. I've bought some kit, so I'm going to be using that. And
what have you got?
I'm not live streaming.
No. I've now got a GoPro, got a stand, got lights outside mic. I'll be using these as well. So yeah, I'll be getting different footage, definitely. So, but it's so many complaints about the live stream. It's just simply not worth doing because there are such a vast amount of people there. With Speaker's Corner, you're more likely to be able to get something there because there's less numbers. But at one of these marches, just record it, make sure you get good quality footage, and then just punt it out later on.
I think if you try and get the speeches, that's important. People want to hear what's been said. But the other thing that I'd suggest to you guys is that if you're going to film the crowd, stand in one spot and let the crowd go past you, because that gives more of an impression of the scale of it. If you're marching with them, people don't get a sense of how big it is.
That's true.
I was trying to do that.
That's my technical input.
It's a valid point because it's the footage. I mean, what proves your point there was one element where I was stood on bomb barriers, ironically, in London, just as all the crowds had made their way down at the Tommy event. And because it was slightly elevated and because people were still making their way past, the shot was brilliant. So, the amount of comments that were really inspired by the numbers just off that shot, because they could see the street almost leading right back up to Nelson's. You know, so it is, you're quite right. Rather than a personal, you know, POV perspective, elevate yourself if you can. Get a selfie stick. That's why I'm forever sticking my pole up to do that, just to get above headshot. I'd love to get a drone.
Sticking your pole up, mate. Sorry, just don't say that. All right.
Simon.
Yeah.
Reverend.
I've bought a pole just like yours as well. I've got a Gert Biggin. Yeah.
A Gert Biggin.
Look how massive it is. He Gert big.
It's been absolutely entertaining stream this. I've loved it, and I wish we could stay on for another hour, but it's going to bore people like crazy. And I'm sure we've all got other things we want to do with our evening as well. So
I just sounded out for 5 seconds, then I was thinking about a red velvet cake. I was just thinking about it. I was staring. I was like, I think I've still got a piece left.
All right. I don't want to hold you from that. So is there enough for the red pill or what?
No, sorry, I'm greedy and I'm going to stop the whole thing.
Fair enough. What's the fancy getting it, you know what I mean?
I'll save you a little crumb.
Oh, cheers. Just film it.
Generous to a point.
The picture would actually be more valuable than eating the crumb.
Well, guys, listen, thank you very much. It's been an absolutely fantastic stream. Love your company. Enjoy the rest of the night, the rest of the week, and have a safe journey Saturday. And be safe.
I'll book my tickets tonight. I said I'd do it before.
So, this is Red Pill Phil. Like and subscribe to all the other guys that I've just mentioned as well. I love you all, even the pissing haters.
Is that your thing at the end of every? Sorry, I've just ruined that, haven't I? Is that your thing now? At the end of every?
It's just stuck. You know, I just said it once and it kind of made sense. And it's funny because it kind of does make people laugh, but it is true.
It's funny.
I do love everyone, even the people that are absolutely slagging me off. And, you know, I tend to go off more on people on this side that slag me off than the people on the other side, because the people on the other side are deranged. So
I agree. Yeah, I agree. That's my thing. I get more annoyed when the centrists and the right get triggered over things that are quite reasonable, because I'm like, guys, you're better than this. I know you're better than this. The far left are just absolutely deluded and probably need like a long line of psychologists to help them if it's even possible. But I don't expect anything from them. I only complain because they have high standards and expectations.
All you can do is tell them you love him. And, you know, it kind of hurts them in a way. So it's like they can't really... The comments tend to be, oh, pissing Uncle Tom. And that's all they can kind of do. They can't really hit me with anything else, you know what I mean? Not that I'm the cleverest, because I'm not. I make pure mistakes and I will do, but that image of me sending out that last sentiment of love, no matter whether you hate me or love me. But I know it pisses them off because they want me to be cool. They want me to hate you all. Not like so. That's why I do it, Jonaya. And what can I say? I should be getting royalties for it. I use it that much, I guess.
Trademark.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be worse. I'm glad it's got a 4-letter trademark. You know what I mean?
You've got to say it again now, haven't you, to finish it off?
I should understand.
Well, you know what, guys? Love you and leave you. I love you all. Go on, Jonaya.
Even the pissing haters.
Thanks a lot, guys. You take care, and I'll see you Saturday. Yeah.
Yes. See you soon. Looking forward
See you
to seeing
Saturday.
Get drunk
Bye,
after.
folks.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.